Most people spend their entire lives believing a lie. They believe that genius is a gift you are born with. They believe that mastering a new skill takes decades of soul-crushing effort. But neuroscience has a different story to tell. The 10,000-hour rule is a myth that has kept you stagnant. It was designed for world-class experts, not for someone who wants to dominate a new field quickly. If you want to reach the top 1% of any skill, you don't need a lifetime. You need the first 20 hours of focused, deliberate practice. Welcome to the protocol. Today, we are killing the old way of learning. Traditional education is a factory of passive consumers. You sit in a chair, you listen to a lecture, and you forget 90% of it by the next morning. This is the illusion of competence. You think you know the material because you recognize the words on the page, but recognition is not mastery. Mastery is the ability to retrieve information under pressure. The human brain was not evolved to memorize abstract facts. It was evolved to solve problems for survival. If you want to learn anything 10x faster, you must stop being a student and start being a hunter. We must talk about the 20-hour rule. Josh Kaufman proved that the steepest part of the learning curve is at the very beginning. In those first 20 hours, you can go from knowing nothing to being better than 80% of the population. But there is a catch. Those 20 hours must be surgically deconstructed. Most people fail because they try to learn everything at once. They buy a 50-hour course and get overwhelmed by the first module. To learn fast, you must deconstruct a skill into its smallest sub-skills. What are the 20% of actions that give you 80% of the results? If you want to learn a language, don't memorize the dictionary. Learn the 500 most common words that make up 80% of daily conversation. If you want to learn to code, don't study computer science history. Build a basic app and solve the bugs as they appear. This is called just-in-time learning. Most people do just-in-case learning. They study things they might need in 5 years. And their brain deletes the data because it's useless today. The brain is an energy-saving machine. If it doesn't see an immediate application for the data, it flushes it out. To accelerate your learning, you must create a need-to-know environment. Your brain must believe that its survival depends on this new information. This is where we move from the what to the how. Get ready to rewire your synapses. Now that you have deconstructed the skill, you need to make it stick. Your brain is like a muscle, but most people treat it like a bucket. They try to pour information into it through passive review. Rereading your notes is the most common mistake in history. It creates a false sense of familiarity. Your brain says, "I've seen this before," so it stops paying attention. But seeing is not knowing. To truly learn, you must use active recall. Instead of looking at the answer, you must force your brain to struggle to find it. This struggle is called desirable difficulty. The harder your brain has to work to retrieve a memory, the stronger that memory becomes. Every time you successfully retrieve a piece of information, the neural pathway becomes thicker. This is the process of myelination. Myelin is the insulation for your brain's electrical signals. The more myelin you have around a circuit, the faster and more automatic that skill becomes. Passive reading creates zero myelin. Active recall builds a superhighway for your thoughts. But recall alone isn't enough. You need the Feynman Technique. Richard Feynman was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, known as the Great Explicable. His secret was simple. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. When you try to explain a complex topic in simple terms, you hit a wall. That wall is a knowledge gap. Most people hide their gaps behind big words and jargon. The master finds the gap and fixes it. Take your new skill and try to teach it to an imaginary audience. When you get stuck, go back to the source material and study only that part. Repeat this until the explanation is seamless. This is how you achieve conceptual mastery. But there is one more enemy to defeat: the forgetting curve. Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered that we forget nearly 50% of new information within 20 minutes. Within 24 hours, 70% is gone, unless you use spaced repetition. You must review the information at specific intervals, just as you are about to forget it. Day 1, Day 3, Day 7. Day 30, this interrupts the forgetting process. It tells your brain, this information keeps coming back. It must be important for survival. Eventually, the memory moves from short-term to long-term storage. This is the difference between cramming for an exam and actually knowing a subject. One is a temporary hack. The other is a permanent upgrade to your hardware. But even with the best techniques, there is a biological limit. If your internal chemistry is wrong, no method will save you. Let's look at the biological battery of learning. You can have the best software in the world, but if the hardware is overheating, it will crash. Learning doesn't happen while you are studying. Learning happens while you are sleeping. During deep sleep and REM, your brain is busy. It is clearing out metabolic waste and solidifying the neural connections you made during the day. If you pull an all-nighter to study, you are effectively deleting the data as you type it. Sleep deprivation turns your hippocampus into a sieve. Nothing sticks. To accelerate learning, you must prioritize your circadian alignment. A 90-minute study session followed by a 20-minute non-sleep deep rest NSDR or a nap can increase retention by 50%. This allows the brain to reset its neurochemical balance, and we cannot ignore the role of dopamine. In our first video, we talked about the dopamine trap. But dopamine is also the molecule of motivation and focus. When you are curious about a topic, your brain releases dopamine. This primes your synapses for long-term potentiation. It makes your brain sticky. If you hate what you are learning, your brain will reject it. You must find a way to make the skill rewarding. Gamify your progress. Track your small wins. Feed your brain the dopamine it craves through milestone achievement, not through scrolling. Finally, we must talk about the state of flow. Deep work is the currency of the 21st century. If you are checking your phone every 5 minutes, you are not learning. You are experiencing task-switching penalty. It takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to regain full focus after a single distraction. To learn 10x faster, you must create a monk mode environment. No notifications, no distractions, no excuses. Just you and the material for 90-minute blocks. This is the protocol. Deconstruct the skill. Focus on the 20%. Use active recall and spaced repetition. Teach it to simplify it. Protect your sleep and your focus. Learning is the only meta skill. If you can learn how to learn, you can become anything. You can master any market. You can solve any problem. You can build any life. The information is there. The techniques are proven. The only variable left is your discipline. Stop being a spectator in the digital age. Become a master of your own mind. The protocol is now in your hands. Master it. See you in the next session.